Keeping the linear progressions rolling on the incline bench press, dropped it down to 3 reps so that I could continue to squeeze out a few more load increases on the bar. Started the first set with 255 pounds for a triple and then backed off to 4 triples with 230 pounds respectively. At least all of my work on the incline bench is now over 2 plates consistently. From there, I transitioned into the close grip pull downs with the thick handle, made another jump in weight, cleared all 15 reps per set for 5 sets across, taking very small progressions on this attachment simply because the musculature of the hand and my forearms, my grip strength in general, gets absolutely destroyed even with just a 2.5 pound increase in load. So being very conservative with my progressions here and ensuring that I'm developing the grip strength at an efficient and effective pace. From there, transitioned into the rack pulls, which running sets of 10 with 245 is very tough after all that volume on the close grip pull down, before moving into some more tricep work, rocking the 35s on the lying dumbbell extensions for 4 sets of 15 across. The only downfall, in my opinion, about dumbbells is it's very tough to micro progress them, so the rep ranges drop rather aggressively as the load increases on the dumbbells. Got a pretty solid pump off of these and then burned out the back of the arms with a little bit of rope tricep work. One of my favorite variations. Simple 50 pounds for 2 sets of 12. Didn't try and max them out today. Wasn't really feeling in the mood for no reason whatsoever, but I got the minimums and walked with a successful session. Finally tapered the rep range down on SSB squats to 5 by 5. To allow myself, again, just like on the incline bench, to continue running a linear progression, starting off with a top end set at 285 pounds before backing down to 256.5 for 4 sets across respectively. From there, I ended up transitioning into a stiff leg barbell deadlift. Both of these exercises definitely place some specific emphasis on the lower back because I can tell you that mine was pretty pumped after all of this volume. 205 pounds for 3 sets of 12, no straps required, prioritizing a little bit of secondary grip strength work along the way. Whenever I don't need to use straps, I try to avoid it whenever possible and save it just for the super heavy stuff that I would otherwise drop if I didn't have the straps on. Then finished off this lower body training session with some barbell walking lunges. Hopefully it doesn't trash my legs putting these at the latter end of the workout as it did last week. 160 pounds for 9 reps per leg. Full range of motion every single rep. My back knee touches the ground before returning to a full extension in the lead leg. We don't cut corners on lunges around here. No half repping and no half stepping. Just finishing up. Lower body, a lot of volume today. Feels good, heart rate's up. Weighted lunges, when you load them to your relative strength, are pretty damn close to cardio if you're doing more than 6 reps per leg. I used to be too conservative with my lunges and thought, oh, I'm holding a 30-pound dumbbell, that's more than adequate. When in reality, I can lunge over 180 pounds for sets of 5 per leg, so it should be calculated off of that, assuming it's in and around the same point in a training session as when the numbers were set. So I'm whipped. Hi-ho, it's off to lift we go. Just like that, cleared a set of 10 with 225 on the bench. Kind of cool to rep out 2 plates for so many reps across, although there's definitely a lot of room for improvement if I ever want to be considered someone who has a respectable bench press. Transition from here into 202.5 for 2 sets of 10 respectively as well, and I can assure you that I had more than an adequate pump in the pecs after all 30 of those reps across those 3 respective sets were complete. Now, you'll probably notice that this doesn't look like last Saturday's workout, and you would be correct and observant. The reason why is because after Thursday's training session, I decided I was going to split my programming block, turn it into an 8-week training period, and then alternate back and forth from 1 week to the next. Actually, I can't remember if I decided to turn it into a 6-week or an 8-week block. I can't recall exactly, but regardless, it'll alternate back and forth, meaning I'll have an upper and lower volume and an upper and lower intensity on, say, week 1, and then the following week, same idea, but all of the exercises will be different, both the primary lifts as well as the secondary lifts. So this week got a little bit choppy and confusing, but you'll see this better expressed as programming continues on. I made this change for 2 primary reasons. The first being I was feeling pretty burnt out physically on the squat and deadlift, respectively, as well as the Swiss bar. So I wanted to kind of pull those lifts out, but I didn't feel like they were totally spent yet. I felt like I still had a little bit left in the tank, if only I had a little bit of time to recover a little more. So by alternating back and forth, it'll give me a little bit more recovery time while allowing me to prioritize some other weak points and make progress. And of course, there's a psychological benefit of not having to think that every time I show up at the gym, I've got to grind through some slow, heavy sets. So that in and of itself is encouraging and refreshing, showing up at the gym and doing something different on a week-to-week basis. So 2 factors that contributed to that decision, and here we are getting the pump on with some 25 to 30 rep sets. That's a lot of volume on the back of the arms, trying to build those triceps so that I can increase my presses. So maybe one day I can do 315 for 10 on the flat bench. Finished off with some bicep curls. Got to get that 1 bicep exercise in every week just to ensure that if the sun does come out, the guns can also come out. Although judging by how pale I am, it's evident that the guns don't often, if ever, come out. At least not outside. Maybe inside they do. I should probably install some tanning lights up in the bay. But until then, I will continue to scare people with how pale I actually am. So it's Sunday morning. Feeling a little bit sluggish right now, but should be an interesting training session overall because I have front squats today, and I'll have to check the exact date as of the last time I did front squats, but it's been a fast minute. I also have heavy rack pulls today, so it should be a relatively interesting training block. And by training block, what I really meant was training session, but I'm clearly not fully awake and likely a little bit under-caffeinated. So it's evident that my front squats are not too hot right now. They need work. I need to get them over 315 for no reason other than to help my ego, because it hurts to watch me do lower body exercises with such minimal weight on the bar. I can't watch this. 260 for a set of 7 and then 2 back off sets with 234 for sets of 7. I feel like I can outbench my front squat. That's got to change. That will change. We're not going to settle for these inadequacies. And I hope you're ready to cringe, because this rack pull, it's going to get an eyebrow raise out of you for sure. And here we go. Look at that background just a little bit. Oh, and a little bit of hitch. And that's one of those days. They happen. We got it. We got it. I was so whipped after that cringy form and that not so impressive rack pull. I forgot to film my reverse hypers, but I managed to do 112.5 pounds for 3 sets of 30. And that is kind of like cardio.